We'll get started here in about 1 minute. Good to see everybody. How you been doing? Good. No, you're fine. Good. How are you doing? Y'all take your Bibles, if you would, and turn to Proverbs chapter 22. So we're going to start and use this as a jumping off point. Proverbs chapter 22. Let me find it here. Proverbs 22, and let's look at verse number 3. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. It's one of my favorite verses in the Bible because it really has propelled me to think about tomorrow, to think about what could be tomorrow, to ensure that I prepare for tomorrow. I think it's a very important aspect of life. I got to tell you, one of the difficult things when I first got married was my personality meshing with Linda's. Oh man, we are two different people. She lives life by the seat of the pants, and what happens today is what I think about. Forget tomorrow, and I'm totally the opposite. Man, I think about tomorrow, and a year from now, and 5 years from now, to make sure I plan and think about tomorrow. And I always told her, the prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. It's one of my favorite verses in the Bible. I was going to teach another lesson this morning. I studied all week for the lesson that I was going to teach. I'll save it for another time maybe, but I just felt really impressed that this is not what I should teach. And I can't even explain that. I just told my wife I do not feel comfortable going forward with the lesson that I was going forward with. In the meantime, I had 3 different people call and ask for my notes on what I taught at the singles conference. And I thought, Lord, are you telling me something? So I've decided I'm going to take what I taught at the singles conference and turn it into something that I think would be applicable to all of us. Ma'am, good to have you with us. Nice to meet you guys. And turn it into something that I think is applicable to all of us. I think the lesson that I'm going to teach today is this: the prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. I want to be prepared for tomorrow. I am now a retired guy, worked a long time in the corporate world, and I'm glad years ago I started taking money out every paycheck and putting into a 401k, and taking money out and putting it into an IRA, and taking money out and putting it into savings. I can now live a life where I don't have to wait for the Social Security check to come in. That happened because the prudent man foreseeth the evil. He knows someday difficult times are coming financially, and I want to be prepared. I want to talk about that today. I don't know a lot about much, I can tell you. But what I'm going to talk about today, I know about. I know it very well. For 35 years, I was an executive in the corporate world. I understand about finances, about economics. I majored in economics in school, and I've been poor before. I grew up as a very poor guy in a poor family. Didn't have much at all. When Linda and I first got married, we were very poor. Here's what we had when we got married 42 years ago. I owned a car, a red Pontiac Firebird. I owned a car. I owned my clothes. She owned her clothes. And some friends gave us some utensils, eating utensils. Outside of that, we had nothing. We had to rent an apartment that was furnished. So I've been on that side of the coin before, where there was no money available. Thank the Lord, I've been on the other end of the scale. And it happens on purpose, because decisions are made that will benefit you or me down the road. That's what I want to talk about today. How we handle money in this world as a Christian should be a lot different than the principles that the world uses. I'm going to cover a lot of important principles today, things that I think if you'll listen will help you. But I want you to see this first point, and I want to emphasize this very poignantly. Money is not the most important thing in life. I'm somebody that spends a lot of time working and thinking about money. I have probably read 500 economic books and majored in economics in school. Somebody that has put a lot of time into money, but it is not the most important thing in life. People are the most important thing in life. And when we handle money right, people will be at the top of our priority list. And that's some things that I will talk about today. Money tells me so much about you, and money will tell you a lot about me. What do you mean by that, Jeff? Listen to what is being said. Are you someone that is trustworthy? In life, are you somebody that people can trust? Money will reveal that. Money will tell me, based upon how you handle money, whether you're somebody that's trustworthy. You go buy a house, what do they pull on you? A credit. What is that doing? That is telling somebody whether you are trustworthy. Money tells us that. Do you keep your promises? When you say something, do you keep your promises? Money will reveal that. Are you somebody that needs instant gratification? Man, I want that. I've got the money. I'm going to buy it. Money will show and tell me whether I am somebody that must have instant gratification or I am somebody that can live with delayed gratification. Money tells us that. Let me show you something here. Linda and I, we moved a long ways from where we started out our married life financially. When I got a picture of this. We were doing okay financially, making good money, and we had a television in our bedroom. And our bedroom was large. It was probably as big as this whole area. And we had our bed right here, and way at the other end, we had a little television. I could have gone out and bought a big television. I could have. Wouldn't have missed it, wouldn't have missed the money. But I thought, why? That works, and I ain't paying for something that I don't need. So one day I come into the bedroom. Linda's laying on the bed, and she has the binoculars. And she's looking at the TV. All right, hon, this is my wife for you guys who just come in. She's laying on the bed with binoculars. I said, okay, I get it. I will go buy us a big television. I just want you to understand, delayed gratification and demanding instant gratification is a thing. And it tells us a lot about ourselves if we have to run out and buy the latest stuff. Money will tell you this about people. Do you care about people more than you care about money? Money will reveal that. Money tells us so much more. I could talk for 15 minutes about that, but I won't. Our need is to be able to control our finances and not have our finances control us. Do your finances control you? What do you mean by that, Jeff? If you came to me and said, on a Thursday, and said, Jeff, let's go out to dinner tonight. I can't. I'll have to wait till I get paid tomorrow. If that's you, I'm going to tell you that money is controlling you, and you are not controlling money. We have to understand that money is a tool, and we have to get it under control so that it doesn't control us, but we control it. Let me look at the next slide here. My hope is this today, to help us. I don't think I can make you a financial expert. But by the way, what is an expert? What's a financial expert? It's somebody that knows more than you. That's all it is, because there's people that know more about it than me. But an expert, I don't think I can make you a financial expert, nor will you learn all the intricate investment strategies that are out there. Does anybody know what the TED spread is? Does anybody here know what a TED spread is? A TED spread is an investment strategy where I can go out and buy 3-month treasury bills and 3-month LIBOR notes. LIBOR notes are the notes, the money that banks charge each other when they loan money. When the spread between those two get really close and you buy both of them, as they start going apart and expanding, you can make money when the 3-month treasury bill and the 3-month LIBOR rate start growing apart. I'm not going to get into explaining it, but I could. And we could talk about that, but that will do you no good. That's not the important financial things that will make us prudent people that foresee the evil. I could talk about puts and calls. Do you guys know what puts and calls are? Years ago, Lynn and I had just gotten married, and I wasn't investing a lot, but I was pretty aggressive, I will say, with some investments. And I bought puts. Puts are this. I don't own the stock, but I can make money by buying a put on that stock, and when the stock goes down, I can make money. I can do the same thing with calls. I could buy a call, not ever owning the stock, but when the stock goes up, I can make money. I've done all those type of investments. When we first got married, I had, $5,000 it was $1,000 in Bristol Myers, and it was a put, meaning I thought the stock was going to go down. So I purchased $1,000 worth of puts, and in one day, that $1,000 turned to $15,000. My wife said, "Sell." Listen, woman, I know about this stuff. You don't know anything about this. Hush. Well, the next day, that $15,000 was worth $10,000. She said, "Sell." I said, "Listen, I'm the expert here. I know what I'm doing." And the next day, it's worth $5,000, and I sold. Still made money, but my point is, we could talk about stuff like that. That's not going to help us. There are many other investment strategies that I could talk about that most people know nothing about, where we can make money. But that's not what the average person needs financially with biblical financial management. And that's what I want to talk about today, is biblical financial management. It's the basics that we have to know about. There are 4 simple actions that I want us to get today that will help everybody here. And in 10 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, I worked for 40-something years. It made a difference in my life. My mother started working at the age of 25 as a clerk in a dry cleaner. She grew up in England, on a farm in England, never made a lot of money. When she come over here, her first job was working as a clerk in a dry cleaner. She worked there for 50 years. 50 years. She averaged $20,000 over those 50 years. That's my mother sitting down there with her sister in England. She averaged $20,000 a year over those 50 years, which means she made $1 million in her 50 years working for a dry cleaner. when she retired, do you know how much money she had put up? $400,000. How in the world is that even possible? But she did it because she followed these 4 principles that I'm going to talk about. 4 very simple things. She's 86 today. She'll come in and she'll sit right back over there, very unassuming, but has displayed a level of wisdom and prudence that all of us need. On the other hand, my father, I don't think I have a slide on that, no. My father they got divorced when I was 10 years old. He did a lot better financially in life. He worked for about 50 years, approximately, and averaged about $60,000 a year. The early life, not much. The later life, a lot more, but averaged about $60,000 a year, which means in the 50 years that he worked, he made $3 million. At the end of his last 10 years of his life, he lived with me and Linda because he didn't have any money. He wasted money. Linda had to start managing his money to get him out of debt. When he moved in with us, he had over $50,000 in credit card and loan shark. I call them loan shark debts. Those what do they call, Linda? It's just signature loan places. Linda would go pay those, and she would stop at this one, go down 400 feet and stop at that one and pay, and go down another half a mile, down Goodman Road, owed all of them. She got him out of debt by managing his money correctly. And he had nothing when he died. What's the difference between a lady making $20,000 a year on average and $60,000 a year who has a sizable nest egg and one who had nothing? It's a real thing. 4 very simple things that all of us need to learn to do. The first thing is this: work. We live in a society where people will not work. When my mother started at that cleaners 50 years ago, she started at $1.10 an hour. She made $8 and under $9 a day. She made $44 a week, less than $200 a month. And it was at a dry cleaners. Have you ever been in a dry cleaners in Memphis, Tennessee in the middle of summer? There is not an air conditioner that's made that works in those things. I've seen her as a kid coming out from leaving work, sweat just dripping off of her. She was willing to work. She didn't wait for the right job to come along. She worked. And we will never, ever have financial success if we aren't willing to work. That is the foundational principle for any financial success in life. You know, if I was broke, I would get me a lawnmower and go cut yards. There is no work that is moral or ethically right that is beneath me. And there is no work that is morally or ethically right that is beneath you. Be an individual that has the trait of working, being willing to work hard. In the end, it pays off. Our preacher that will be sitting right there in a little while, he left Memphis after getting a degree from the University of Memphis, Memphis State at the time, to go to Bible college. At Bible college, he had to work. He didn't wait to find a job that was commensurate with his education. He went and flipped burgers to provide for his family. I'm saying this is the basic foundational thing for finances, is we need to work, period. And if we don't have that trait within us, woe to us. We will have problems financially. Don't take handouts. Linda, I told you we didn't have much when we got married. I come into that apartment that was furnished for us, and there were all these groceries and stuff on the table. I thought, what is that? She said, I got this from the government. No. Take all those things back. I am not going to take anything from anybody. And she did. Be willing to work. We had to get an extra job. I had to get an extra job to have more money to buy more stuff. It is my responsibility to provide. It is your responsibility to provide, period. We need to learn that and do that. And I'm going to meddle a little bit here and tell you this. If you're you single ladies, if you're dating a guy and he won't work, dump him. Get rid of him fast. Guys, we got some single guys here. Don't date a woman that won't work. Do you remember the story of Ruth in the Bible? What did Boaz notice about her? Turn to Ruth chapter 2, if you would. Turn to Ruth chapter 2. It's here someplace. Ruth chapter, look at Ruth chapter 3 and verse 14. And she lay at his feet until the morning, and she rose up before one could know another. What does that phrase mean? It's dark. Before anybody could even recognize anybody, Ruth was up. She was doing what she needed to do. Look over in chapter 2, in verse 11. And Boaz answered and said unto her, talking about Ruth, it had fully been showed me all that thou hast done unto thy mother-in-law since the death of thine husband. And now thou hast left thy father and mother and the land of thy nativity, and art come unto a people which thou knewest not before. The Lord recompense thy work, and a full reward be given thee of the Lord Israel, under whose wings thou art come to trust. What did Boaz notice about her? He noticed that she was a lady that would work. We need to be people that will work. Number 2, the first foundational thing of any financial understanding is to work. The second one is no debt. Do not make debt. Ben, can you come here a minute? Debt is a burden on us. Somebody gets a job, gets their first job, and they get that first paycheck, and it's like, man, I can go out now because I have money, and I can get that PlayStation, whatever number they're up to now. I don't know what it is. Is it 5, PlayStation 5? And you know what? He gets that first check, and he can pay cash for it. Man, life is good. And he gets in the habit of getting that check and buying stuff that he wants. Until one day, there's something that he wants, and I don't have enough cash. But man, I want it, and I can get it on credit. So he buys, at that time they're at PlayStation 10. I can handle that. Not much to it at all. Then he decides to move it out of mom and dad's house. And he's got that rent, along with a note here that he has to pay. I'm a young guy. I can carry this pretty well. And he goes through life, and he realizes, I'm living on my own. I have to buy groceries too. And it keeps coming. Then he needs that car, and it gets higher and higher. And you never get rid of that, and you have to carry it. And what happens to his arms after a while? Those things that were light at first become so heavy, you can't sleep at night. It's on your mind all the time that you owe and that you owe. And I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. Thank you. You can sit it down. Thank you. Your arms would get tired after a while, wouldn't they? That is what debt does to us. Every penny that you make in that paycheck bin has a place to go before you ever spend it. And I'm going to tell you, create zero debt is a financial principle that we need to live by. But learn this: pay yourself first. Warren Buffett said this. Y'all know who Warren Buffett is? I negotiated a $400 million deal with Berkshire Hathaway, which is Warren Buffett's company in Minneapolis, their real estate firm up there. And he's a very wise man, multi-billionaire. But he said this: do not save what is left after you spend, but spend what is left after you save. That's how we need to live life. Debt will destroy. Many marriages have problems because of financial stress. I got to tell you, my mom and dad divorced when I was 10. You know why? She was somebody that wanted to save. He was somebody that wanted to spend. And I saw fights that were better than Ali Frazier over that issue. Learn to not have debt. The third thing, and I'm going through these quickly just for time. I could spend a lot more time talking about it. And we're not moving. There you go. The third principle: work, no debt. Save like your life depends on it. Just simple little figures here I put down just to show you the value of saving. $100 a month for 40 years. At 7%, you'll have almost $250,000. You say 7%. Do you know what the average return on the S&P is over the last 100 years? Does anybody know? 10.31%. Do you know what the average is on the NASDAQ over the last 50 years? 9.9%. Wisely investing the money you save, 7% is not out of the realm of possibilities. It's a real thing, actually. $200 a month for 40 years is almost $500,000. I think if you're getting a paycheck, you ought to be saving minimally 15% of your paycheck. The last 15 years of my work life, we were saving 25% of everything that come in, so that I would have something today. And so that if I die, my wife will have something. But if you were making $500 a week, and over a month's time, 15%, you were saving $300 a month for 40 years. You would have $750,000 put up for your retirement. You know, we retire having to run to the mailbox to look for the Social Security check because we aren't prudent people that foresee the evil and hideth ourselves. We need to give a lot of thought to tomorrow financially and not expect Uncle Sam or anybody else to take care of us. He's given us the ability to earn money, and we need to handle it very wisely. So it's how an 86-year-old woman who made $1 million over 50 years could have $400,000 today. And if she can do that, whatever God is providing you, you can do it. And so can I. It's a matter of wanting to. And the last point is give. Really, this point is a non sequitur, meaning it doesn't line up logically with the first 3 points of working, no debt, of saving, and then you're telling me to give. We're talking about God's economy. We're talking about how God set this up, not worldly philosophy. Worldly philosophy says you're a nut. And when I say give, I'm not talking about tithing. I'm talking, tithing should be in your budget, and that should be done with the bills, the debt that you pay. I'm talking about giving above and beyond. It will change our life when we learn to give. You say, Jeff, people will take advantage. Yep, they absolutely will. Recently, my wife and I, we loaned $4,000 to somebody. I'll never see it. But you know, I realized something. God is the bookkeeper, not me. He will handle that in life. God has an attribute of giving. For God so loved the world that He gave. That's who He is. And that's who we should be. Why is He allowing us to have stuff, to have money? Is it to consume it upon our own lusts? No. Now, that's what we think. We think, man, I'll get $750,000 here, and man, I will be on easy street. That's not why He allows us to have it. He allows us to have it, to use it for Him. Now, He allows me to have it to help with the things that I need in life. A large television in the bedroom isn't it. But He allows me to have it, too, so I can help others. That's why God. So why has God given you and I money? Money will tell us if people or money is the priority of my life. Oh man, my heart just bleeds for that missionary that just came through, and I've got $1,000 in the bank. I ain't giving it to nobody. What did I say initially? Money is not the most important thing in life, but people are. Money and how we handle it begins to speak to us about what is a priority in our life. And God can take that selfishness that we often possess and smite our hearts because of the selfishness that I live with through money. You know, giving positions money in the right place in my life. When we learn this principle of giving, there is something miraculous that happens. I begin to see life clearer. I begin to see who God is, because I am deciding I'm going to make Him and His attributes my priority, not the lust of the flesh to consume money upon myself. So here's the 4 points. Work, have no debt, save, and give. If we do those 4 things right, we will be that prudent man that has foresaw the evil, and we hide ourselves in the principle of His Word. It will change how we see life. It will change how we see people. And it will change our self-perspective on how we see ourselves. There is nothing grander than being Linda and I, years ago, there was a young couple that we knew were struggling. So we went to the grocery store, and we bought 3 or 4 basket, shopping cart full of groceries. And we snuck over to their house, and we put it on their door, and we knocked and we ran. They never know who did it. But man, I'm going to tell you what, God blessed my soul. I heard them. They come to church. They said, "You won't believe what happened." I think they gave a testimony one time. "You won't believe what happened. We didn't have any groceries in the house." And I'm thinking, Lord, thank you. Thank you that you blessed me over that. When we handle money right, we can be blessed in such a way that money cannot buy. Man, do you think I missed that, couple $100? No, man. I would do it again. Let's learn these principles